Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion, and I'm joined by my friend Dave Peter from Coin Huskers. How you doing, Dave?
Doing great. Glad we could do this again, buddy.
Yeah, me too. It feels like it's been a long time. It's probably been a couple of months since we last had a chat like this. So I'm excited to answer a bunch of viewer questions that both you and I gathered throughout our own social media pages and YouTube channels. So that's what we're going to do today, everybody. We're going to answer questions that you, the viewers, have. And this is planned to be two parts. Part one is going to be on my channel, the Minot Coin and Bullion YouTube channel. Part two will appear on Dave's channel on Coin Huskers. So be sure to tune in for both parts. We're going to cover a lot of cool things today. Dave, do you want to take the first question?
Yeah, let's do it. So the first question that we had was, I'm not sure this was in order, but the first question was, why is the buyback on semi-numismatic collectible silver coins so low? And this is referencing silver Libertads, silver Pandas, and then some of the Perth Mint coins. So if you want to start on answering that one, Josh.
Sure. It is, I guess it's going to depend dealer to dealer on what buyback prices are. But really, what they were referencing in their question, on a particular silver bullion piece like a silver round, it's pretty cut and dry what replacement cost is. And you have a pretty good idea that you can sell it quickly. When you have semi-numismatic and collectible silver that comes in the shop, like Libertads and Pandas and, things put out by Perth Mint that might have lower mintages, those are a little tougher to sell. So I guess for me personally in my shop, somebody brings them in, I'm definitely going to pay a premium for them because I understand the added value because of rarity and collectability. But I am going to pay a I'm going to try to get a bigger spread on them, I guess. Maybe on a thing like a Panda, maybe it's $3 or $4 less. Libertad's probably even more because premiums get so high on those. And a lot of times you don't know if you're going to be able to sell it retail. And oftentimes for things like this, including collectible coins, what happens in my shop, at least, if I can't find a home for it retail across the counter, what I end up doing is start looking at wholesaling it to other dealers. So, in a sense, I guess when we buy, or at least I buy this type of stuff, I look at it from the perspective I may need to end up wholesaling this to get something out of it. So, now what can I pay for it? Because things like that don't always retail very easily. How about you, Dave? What's your experience with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think you covered most all of that. I was just going to, the market is set on the wholesale side. So it's not dealer to dealer. That market is set from a wholesale side of what you can sell that back to wholesalers. So you always got to look at what you can obviously retail that out, first of all, and then what you can wholesale it out for. So there's not you don't have a lot of people calling you up wanting to buy silver Libertads or Perth Mint coins on a daily basis. So you have to buy that back knowing that you could sit on that for who knows how long. So it's strictly driven demand. That's what dealer to dealer, and it has to put that on case to base basis of what they're going to buy back at. But obviously, some dealers are buying them back very low, and some of the dealers are paying strong just based upon the clientele and demand they have.
Yep, you're actually absolutely right. And it is going to vary. So I guess that just goes back to something I've always preached to people. If you're not happy um, with an offer, go get a second opinion. I mean, that's why there's other shops out there, I guess, to give other opinions on value. So, but yeah, I think we covered all that, Dave. Next question, I'll do this one, or I'll ask you
Okay.
to discuss it. A viewer wanted us to discuss the bias in spot price from company to company.
Yeah, this one's tough because since COVID, the spot prices on different websites all across the board is different. So it makes it very tough for everybody to determine what is the actual spot price. So spot price is based on 5,000 physical ounces of silver. So these are 5,000-ounce COMEX bars that when you pour a COMEX bar, they don't come out in a 1,000-ounce bar each time. So you could get a bar that's 988 ounces or 1,021. But that's spot price on silver is a paper contract of 5,000 physical ounces of silver, and gold is 100 physical ounces of gold. Unfortunately, the price discovery mechanism in precious metals is not good. And since COVID, we've seen a pretty big difference. So sometimes there's 20-cent difference on silver between one company's website versus the next. So we personally used to use CoinInfo, and then they redid their website. So we started to use APMEX on the retail side back in 2021, I want to say, just because at that point it seemed like the prices were good, but lately, the silver prices are a little bit higher. But then on the buy side, we're actually paying more too. So it is tough. When we do wholesale, we use Kitco to dealers because most of those transactions take place during market hours. So a lot of our retail side transactions seems like at least a decent portion take place after hours. So it seems like APMEX has been a little bit better, just updated on after hour prices. So different. Why we have this is it still kind of boggles my mind what's going on. So because we don't have, obviously we don't have a live COMEX feed that, we're going off of a futures market. So that 5,000 ounce contract and that 100 ounce contract on gold and silver, that is for futures contract for future delivery. So we don't have a good price discovery mechanism for live silver. So you have different prices from APMEX to JM Bullion to SD Bullion. All the online dealers seem to have different prices. And, I'll let you kind of take it from here.
Yeah, well, you definitely covered and taught me a few things in that response, so I appreciate that. I've always felt that the bias in spot price from company to company had to do with hedging, quite frankly. You look at certain online bullion sites, they might be 20 to 30 cents higher on silver versus Kitco Ask. And you brought up Kitco because you use that for wholesale. I use that for both wholesale and retail. Granted, I don't do any selling after hours, so I can use Kitco during operating hours. Because I know, Dave, that's what you use. When I buy from you, I'm buying based on Kitco. So I'm selling off of that same price. But you can go to certain online bullion sites. And like I said, they have what I would call a manufactured bullion price for gold and silver that's always much higher than Kitco. I always just assume they did that just to kind of hedge. And then what they can do, silver, for instance, let's say silver's 25 cents higher on their site than Kitco Ask. Well, now they can advertise that they're selling silver rounds at, let's just say, $1.99 over spot, where in fact they're $2.25 over spot. It's $1.99 over their higher manufactured artificial spot price. So I think in a sense it's intentional. It's done to hedge, at least from these larger companies. And I think it's becomes a marketing tactic at that point where they can advertise a lower premium, where in fact your actual cost you're paying is quite a bit higher because their spot prices that they're going off of are higher. That's always been my take on it. But I've always been kind of I guess, a transparent type person. I'm going to be straightforward with people. They say, well, what's the silver price? Well, I pull out my phone, I open up the Kitco app, bam, that's the number we use. I mean, there's no discussion. It is what it is. So I don't try to get into manipulating or, you know, manufacturing my own spot price to benefit myself 10 cents an ounce, you know. So that's just how I guess I've always looked at it.
Yeah, and I mean, at the same point too, look at when people come in to sell, they love the APMEX price on the buyback side. So, it can go both ways. So as long as you're transparent and put the pricings out, which we do. But Josh can tell you even on, wholesale side, there is a bid in the ask. And when you call up and buy, I mean, there's times all the time, like just in a 30-minute conversation, the spot price, we're buying 5,000 ounces of silver. It will change in just that short period of conversation. So it is, from the retail side and consumer side, it is frustrating to see 20-cent, 30-cent differences. So, we do our best to make sure at the overall, just the total cost is the cheapest possible out there. And at the end of the day, explaining what prices you're using and being transparent is paramount.
Right. Agree 100%. Thanks for that, Dave.
Okay. Next question. When should I trade gold for silver or silver for gold, vice versa?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. I've talked about that, I guess, on my own channel a few times, playing the ratios to maximize what you're holding without having to outlay additional funds. Um, there's really no perfect answer. It's going to vary person to person. What I've done personally, when I watch the gold to silver ratios, I'm buying silver when it's high. What is a high number? That's going to be different to other people, but right now the silver ratio is high. I think it's about 79 to 1, so it's actually shrinking a little because we were up to 85 to 1 a little over a week ago. But silver's went up and gold hasn't went up as much, so the ratio's been shrinking. But I'm buying silver, me personally, until it gets about to 60 to 1. Once the ratio gets to 60 to 1, now I'm looking at converting ounces of silver for an ounce of gold. That's just my own kind of personal threshold. I've done that a couple times. And as I said, I did a video on it, on how I maximized ounces. I basically did a swap where I was buying silver, buying silver, buying silver while it was 85 to 1. Once it got to 60 to 1, I traded in, how was it now? Yeah, 300 ounces of silver for 5 ounces of gold because 300 divided by 60 is 5. So then I sat on that 5 ounces of gold until the ratio got back to 85 to 1 again. And then when it did, I converted that 5 ounces of gold into 125 extra ounces of silver. Instead of getting 300 ounces, I got 425 ounces of silver back. So that's how you can play the ratio. Granted, if you're a dealer or in the industry like you and I, that's much easier to do because you have the inventory to access. If you're doing it through a dealer, there'll be a cost to you. Depends on the dealer how they handle it, but that's kind of the numbers I look at. You know, when it gets to 60, now I'm thinking about buying gold or trading silver to gold or for gold, I should say. When it's above 60, I'm all in on silver. That's just me personally.
Yeah, so you look at the last basically century, the historical ratio silver to gold has been about 42 roughly ounces of silver to buy an ounce of gold. So if you look at that, I mean, we haven't got down to the historical ratio since 1980, 15, 16 to 1. And we haven't got down to, that the 42 range until, 2011. That was really the last time we got down to that level. So right now, you look at where we're at, almost near close to 80 to 1. Silver's not only on the short term, but historically a much better value than gold right now. We got to a human history high back in March and April of 2020, where we actually went to briefly a little bit over 120 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold.
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to a farmer friend and a couple other people, and encouraging, if you can, obviously store the silver. And since the levels were reverted back, I remember this was, I think last year, I was talking to a farmer friend. He's like, I cost myself, over 100 ounces of gold if I would have just held the silver and then traded for gold. So that's a substantial difference that you can, just as you pointed out in the video you made, that you can make in not only a short period of time, but over the long haul. If you're able to do that and understand the ratios and the circumstances that is going on with the market, you can make massive gains and build your stack, as you mentioned, nearly for free by just having the right education and knowledge. So you mentioned 61. My kind of personal range has always been really about under 50 to 1. 60 kind of getting close. But if you just look at back in 2011, I wrote down my starting inventory when I started a store in Idaho. It was 2011 September. Gold was 18 cents, silver was $41.76. So I think that was 43 to 1. And now, basically we've almost, nearly doubled since then. Or obviously at one point, back in March of 2020, tripled. So I definitely, people on this end, that's got to be a personal decision, because obviously if you're in your 80s and 90s, you don't want to be lugging around a lot of silver or gold. So I think younger people, if you can speculate, hold on to silver until the ratio gets down to, under 60 to 51. I think if you're, really under 30, if you can really hold out until that ratio gets back to under 40 to 1, be well worth it for you. So I really think this question just comes down to what stage you're at in life. And if you can able to store the silver, then it's well worth doing it. But if you can't, then obviously, you're just going to be left buying gold. But in terms of trading, you need to look at the history and look at also what's going on. If you look at recessions, gold performs much better than silver during recessions. and silver performs, like we saw in the 70s, where we have high inflation and we're just constantly printing money, not like we are now. But silver outperformed gold, during a bull market, and silver historically outperforms gold during bull markets.
Yeah, very good points, Dave. Very good. Next question we have, a viewer asked us for a prediction of the high and low silver spot and premiums through the end of the year. I've said many times I don't attempt to predict silver price. I'll let Dave give his take on that. As far as premiums, boy, I would defer to you, Dave. You're the wholesaler and a retailer, but you have a better pulse on where premiums are at, because oftentimes you'll call me to update me and let me know, hey, they're up a bit, or hey, they're down a bit. So if you want to take this one fully, maybe talk about where premiums are now and how you see them impacting either up or down through the end of the year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so premiums right now, so Silver Eagles wholesale have won up a quarter in the last week. So that really changed midweek last week. So we were getting them at, we could get a delayed box for $3.50 over spot. If we ordered a large quantity, say 10,000 ounces, I could get them for about 3.25. But then live boxes, 2023, this 2023 Silver Eagles were $3.75. So back dates we could get for $3.40. Larger quantity could probably get a little bit better. So that's where premiums have come. So right now, wholesale level, good solid number is $3.75 over spot. So we've gone up 25 cents in the last week, and that looks like it's starting to climb and go the other way. And Gold Eagles have stayed the same. Gold Buffaloes have come down. They had more. Seems like the distributors have had more allocations this last time around. So that on a wholesale level, if you're ordering in quantity, we can get them for like 3.25%. And maybe I know we had some back dates. We got at 3.15. So the distributors even order from the men at 3%. So margins have just been really tight, especially on gold. I mean, they're just working on razor thin margins. I mean, barely any money unless you're, having somebody really sell back on a wholesale side. There's just not much, money or margin to be made there. So I think premiums, I know we talked last time, we didn't think we would even get down to where we are, especially on Silver Eagles. And that has been driven by one company is trying to become a U.S. Mint distributor. So to become a U.S. Mint distributor, you have to do really massive volume. So on Gold Eagles, I think they have to sell about 100,000 Gold Eagles in a year. And then Silver Eagles, have to look at the exact number, what they need to do on that. But you have to do a very, very big volume. So this company in particular, it's the largest auction company in the U.S. They're trying to really become a distributor next year. So they're trying to get their volume up. So they're pushing premiums down quite a bit. So just really almost one company alone is driving Silver Eagle premiums down. And then also demand. I mean, demand is, we had record demand last time, we were kind of talking, well, we talked in May, but, March and April was record demand. So Silver Eagles, as we were talking, just got out of hand. And then 1/10 ounce Gold Eagles have come down. So we got those, hit a one at 10.75%. So they've really come down because it was wholesale. I think last time we did the video, it was 26%. I think I even mentioned it was like the cheapest we could get. So it's good to see Gold and Silver Eagles coming and Buffaloes coming back down to reality. But on silver rounds and privately minted stuff, that premium has also come substantially down. Not like Gold or Silver Eagles, but right now we even got our silver rounds bumped down to us at 75 cents yesterday. So that's ordering in bulk. But the premiums on the wholesale side have come down substantially. And obviously this is great for the retail side and consumer and everybody buying. So this is a wonderful opportunity premium wise. So you're actually buying Silver Eagles cheaper right now than when the spot price was at $20 and we had premiums well over $10. So right now this is a wonderful time to buy Silver Eagles, and we've seen it on our side. Just a lot of retail demand has come back into buying Silver Eagles. So how about you, Josh?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing similar things. Eagles have become much more popular because of the lower premiums. Um, you know, I guess business remains pretty good because, not just Eagles, but rounds as well and bars have all come down quite a bit premium wise. So, as far as prediction on where I think we're going to land at the end of 2023, it's impossible to know. I mean, you've touched on, you know, reasons that the market can get impacted. Obviously, Eagles got impacted down because you said there's a largest auction company in the nation is trying to become a distributor and they're buying up a bunch. And um, it, I really think economic uh, health is going to have an impact on premiums because if more banks start to fail, which I do believe there's banks failing often, and it's not even getting reported anymore. But when the first banks got reported that they failed back in March, that's when we really saw an uptick in demand for metals, which had an impact on supply, which had an impact on premiums. So if that happens again, I see premiums could rise again. And as you already pointed out, Dave, it's a great opportunity to buy silver eagles right now because, as you said, you were paying more for an eagle when silver was $4 less per ounce than you can buy eagles today. So take that for what it's worth. It's a pretty good buying opportunity, and that can almost be said about silver too, or at least a week ago. Silver's up almost a buck and a half from last week, so it did make a big jump. But I don't get into predicting premiums, but I do think economics will dictate uh, or will have an impact, I should say, on premiums throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah. So just to take a stab at, I guess, given a prediction, obviously this is opinion, this ain't based on facts, figures, and data, but I think premium wise, silver eagles, I think will go back up. It just seems like that's where things are trending. I think gold eagles and buffaloes will stay. I mean, we might see a quarter percent jump, here and there, just based because when the 2024s come out, it seems like we always have a lag time between they stop production and new production needs to be made. So the end of the year, we'll probably see a bump. Just that's just based on history and then just based on factors, some of which you mentioned. But I think if we lower rates and we start going the other way, the dollar, if the dollar right now, reason why metals are haven't been where we had a bump up this week, but have been down. It's just that the dollar's been up, and that's if we lower rates and go the other way, then the dollar will fall and then gold will rise, and that's a scenario that I see happening. I more see that playing out towards the end of the year and then next year. So I think towards the end of the year, I think gold could get back close to 2000. I think silver, I think we'll be above 25. So I'll put. I don't like putting a date or time frame on anything, but I think that's what we'll be. Yep. So next question: are collectible coins worth it?
Oh, that really depends. It depends on what collectible coins you're buying. The collectibles market can be very volatile. Prices go up and down. I can just give a quick example on why I think they can be worth it. Had you bought Common Date, Carson City, Mint State, Morgan silver dollars prior to COVID in early 2020, you could have held them for about 6 months and then almost doubled your money because values on those almost doubled in the span of about 6 months. So there was a time where buying a collectible coin definitely was worth it. I'm assuming the question is posed, can I make financial gains by buying collectible coins? Yeah, there's definitely certain times that you can. It's really hard to predict what's going to end up appreciating more than other things, however. So at the end of the day, I would just advise you to buy what you like to collect. That's my advice.
Yeah, great advice. So yes, so collectible coins are definitely worth it, and as you mentioned, in certain cases. But it's like rare art. You need to have a great astute of knowledge in that, and otherwise you'll get taken advantage of. So as long as that's basically your job and you have complete focus on that, I've seen some of the top coin guys in the U.S. that just do tremendously well, just going big show to big show. And in fact, some of the coins that we get, we'll give it to some of the guys that go to the big shows, and they're doing tremendously well. And so, yes, but as long as you have astute knowledge and take the time, energy, and effort It takes a lot of time to play that game, a lot of energy. So it's a lot more effort that goes into that than just buying bullion. So just there's MS64 Morgan dollars or high end Morgan and Peace dollars. Have done very well, especially as you mentioned with Carson Cities. You've even had even higher grade Carson Cities done tremendously well over the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years long-term track record. So there's a time and a place for it.
Right, absolutely. Dave, what silver bullion do you get excited about when it comes into your shop?
Silver pandas, just because pandas have been tough to get, and I sold off during the Silveretta deal. It was like the one thing that I held in my collection. I had boxes of silver Chinese panda. So every single year, so China made silver legal back in 2011. So we get a silver Chinese panda box every year. I try and get a box. And by the end of the year, it seems like they would go up 10%. So every time Chinese pandas come in, I get excited just for the fact that I sold off. It was thousands of ounces that I kept in boxes that were sealed. I sold off to several good friends that I didn't really let anybody know we had them. So that's one thing when it comes in. I love Chinese pandas, a gold or silver. How about you?
Great. Yeah, I'm a sucker for Mexican Libertads and anything that's a government sovereign, I should say a government issued silver coin that has low mintage. Um, I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. I like low mintage stuff. So really collectible silver and Libertads, I guess I get excited when that comes in because it gives me an opportunity not only to see those type of things that you don't see too often, but maybe have a chance to buy them at a decent price. So that's what I get excited about.
What sets, because this kind of ties in, what sets are you collecting or putting together right now?
Well, I started a long time ago putting together a Morgan silver dollar set. That's going to be a lifetime set that I continually work on and continually look to upgrade. But I've really gotten into, as I mentioned in the previous question, collectible bullion, lower mintage bullion. I collect a lot of Disney themed silver from different countries. The lower the mintage, the better, in my opinion. So I have got quite a bit of that in my collection. And I'm always just looking for oddball stuff. Um, as I said, I like pandas too. I like certified pandas, either NGC or PCGS, and I really do like certified Libertads also by NGC or PCGS. So that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, other than bullion. That's kind of the collectible stuff that I'm working on. How about you?
So now everything's for sale. So I'm not currently collecting any sets or putting together anything. So I do have some years of each silver panda still in personal collection, but I've kind of put everything in working capital and just decided, just especially when we had that Silveretta deal and everything was moving, I kind of sold off. So I stopped collecting sets and putting together things just because just if somebody gets more enjoyment out of it than what I would, that's kind of at this point in stage in life that I decided that I'm just gonna I actually get more than enjoyment of selling something to somebody else getting happy about something than myself personally at the moment. So but are you planning to sell this stuff eventually, or are you planning to pass this down to your children, or what's your plans?
Well, that's a mighty good question. I've been working hard on my own kids to try to get them interested in silver, and they have their own stacks, but it's because I've been stacking for them, giving it to them as gifts. And sometimes I'll just come home and they'll each get an ounce of silver to add to their pile. But um, I hope they take an interest at some point. But currently, yeah, I don't think they're all that interested. So there may come a time where I might sell it off. That'll honestly be a sad day for me, but time will tell. Time will definitely tell.
We see that too often, don't we? And that's a little bit what's definitely changed my opinion too, is we get so many people that have collected for 50 plus years, and then all of a sudden the kids don't want it and they sell it off. So that's one thing where it's just kind of changed my view a little bit on this, is just everything's for sale.
Right. Well, that's been to my benefit for sure, because you've passed along a lot of great, cool things to me, and I do appreciate that. And oftentimes it ends up going home with me too, rather than getting resold in the shop. So thank you for that. Dave, I think with that question, we'll wrap up part one. If you guys aren't already subscribed to Dave on his Coin Huskers YouTube channel, I'll put the information up on the screen right now. He puts out darn near daily videos on inventory and prices. He's very competitive with pricing and very transparent, and we appreciate that. And Dave, anything to add in part one?
Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, appreciate everybody watching. And we are going to have a part two that'll appear on Dave's channel, Coin Huskers. So if you're not already subscribed, be sure to subscribe, click the bell icon to get notifications. And once part two uploads, you'll be able to watch it over on Dave's page. So appreciate you all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.